There we go. How about that?
Perfect.
All right. Am I doing something right here?
You're doing
Yeah, it
something
just
right.
came up.
So gang, first of all, you guys know me. Any questions, just pop them out at any time. You know, I am going to do this quick PowerPoint. It might take 15 minutes. I'm going to really roll through it, but stop me if you have a question while we're doing it. And the more we've been thinking about this over the last 5-6 weeks, recovery planning is just strategic planning with a few changes. And I'll get into where that changes. So it's more of strategic planning. And again, 95% of organizations in the world do not even have a strategic plan. And many of those that do have a big book that sits on a shelf and it's not reviewed. So what I'm going to be sharing with you after 35 plus years of strategic planning with over 10,000 clients, what I've found to be the best way to strategic plan. It's one that the chamber uses, as a matter of fact, and we have for many, many years. So, any questions before we get going? Cool. So I'm going to share my vision, or Elevations Unlimited. What we do is we grow local economies by accelerating entrepreneurial performance. And we look to be the largest organization or the most impactful organization in the country by doing that. And we're going to talk about what vision is and why it's so important. So I wanted to share my company's vision with you. So a strategic plan, why even do it? Why plan now? So let's talk about that a little bit. You've heard this, if we fail to plan, we plan to fail. Those that create a plan are much more likely, and I used to have the statistic, I'm sorry I don't have it, are much more likely to create a great organization if they plan. And again, the Central Delaware Chamber is proof positive of that, being a 5-star chamber and how few 5-star chambers they are. And I guarantee that the 5-star chambers all have a strategic plan that's usable every day. So what it does is it create a roadmap for success. Again, without it, it'd be like you hopping in your car and driving to California without a map or a GPS. You can follow the sun and kind of get there, but it makes it a lot easier. So what it also acts as a template for decision making. All those things that crop up in businesses all the time. Should we do this? Should we do that? Well, this makes it easier because you have a template. You know where you want to go. So in understanding where you want to go, it makes your decision easier. It'd be like, again, going to California, would you decide to go south? Maybe a little bit. Would you go as far south as Florida to get to California?
No.
Probably not. Probably not. It also prioritizes and aligns activities. Priority is so important. I used to work for Andersen Window Corporation, the largest window corporation in the world, and we would do a strategic plan every year. And in it, there were probably 30 missions or goals that were to be undertaken every year, and they were not prioritized. And we looked at them the following year. It was amazing how few of them actually were done because no one knew which one was the highest priority, what to really work toward. This is cool. When you have a map, people like to look at it and use it. And that map, the plan, harnesses the momentum of inspired employees. It helps people. If we don't know where we're going, how does an employee know what to do? How does an employee know what their little part in the decision-making process is? So that's important. And again, bottom line is it provides results. So let's talk about the pieces of a strategic plan. So where do you start? Bingo, it's the vision. And the vision is the ultimate place that the organization can be. So you chamber gals, you remember the vision of the chamber?
Of course. We
What
know
is
it.
What is it?
We are the essential resource for the development of business in Central Delaware.
Bingo. There we go. So what is a vision? It's your mental snapshot of a future. And obviously, if you work in a big organization, it's using a strategic group of people to create this with you. If you're a one-man shop like me, you do it on your own. It's the mental snapshot of the future. You actually see what it looks like in your head. And it's a possible future, and it's the best possible future. What is the ultimate place your company or organization can be? You know, what will it become when it grows up, so to speak? You know, it's so vivid. You can see, hear, taste, feel, and smell it. I know what Elevations looks like in the future. In a lot of ways, I'm there, but I know what it looks like after the release of my book this year, some other things we're going to be doing. I know exactly how it's going to feel and smell. So, and obviously, it's worth expending energy on because it gets you excited. This is where I want to be. And it sparks new ideas for all employees and provides a common focus, which is so important. Most of us have worked in organizations where the different pieces in the organization, it seemed like they all were going in different directions. This way, we're going in the same direction. Before I move on to the next part, any question about vision? Anybody? Fair enough. And by the way, let's look at this first piece. Does this change during a pandemic?
I would say no.
I'm with you, Heather. I agree. This is a piece that remains firm through what we're going through, barring any more major shutdowns in the economy. I don't think we can see any more based on what I've seen. All right. So, cool statement. Vision without action is a daydream. Action without vision is a nightmare. So if all we do is vision and we don't put it to action, it's just a daydream. And the second sentence is what I see in most organizations. There's a whole lot of action without vision. This is my favorite quote of all time, by the way. So the next piece are values. And I know, you know, there's only a few of you with me today, but I'll let you know that this is exactly what my book is about. And I'm about 3/4 of the way through. It's about values. It's the most least understood piece of a strategic plan because it's the beliefs, standards, and acceptable behavior. It's really the road signs along the side of the road as you're going from one place toward your vision. It's the truths that guide action. They're non-negotiable. Heather, what are some of the values of the chamber?
So credibility is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, you're putting me to the test now. So we've got credibility. We've got, Cindy, help me out. Come on, girl.
Oh, I'm writing notes.
Well, it's
I don't have them in
important to
front of
know.
me, but it's,
I
I know credibility is a big one. That's a big one that we
Yes,
focus
it
on
is.
a
And
lot.
I think it might be the number one value. It's why you
I believe it
remember
is.
So, and that's non-negotiable. So if an employee really wasn't being credible, you know, with a member, you know, that's not cool.
No, it's not. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you could hear me.
Yeah. It ensures consistent application of ethics so that everyone in the organization is behaving similarly. It's part of culture and creating culture. And it simplifies decision-making. If we know that we have to be credible in what we do, that means certain decisions can't be made. You know, if honesty is a value, then you have to tell the truth, even if it hurts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they're
That's very true.
ones. And I don't remember the Chambers ones offhand. Even though I've been working with Judy for, how long has Judy been at the Chamber?
15
15 years. So for those 15 years, we've been working on this and we've honed the values. We rarely change any of them. We do change the order of them, the priority. So it determines the rightness of direction. Any questions about values? Okay. The next step, and this is the step that changes or can change based on what we're going through. So this is part of recovery, and that's the mission. And man, we're opening up a can of worms. But the basic part of a mission is, it is one step movement closer to your vision. So the vision is the ultimate destination. The mission is one part of it. So in the analogy, again, of going to California, the mission might be to make it to Iowa within the next 30 days. That would be a mission. So the mission statements you see that a lot of organizations have created are more of a purpose statement. The mission we're talking about is more goal-oriented, okay? It has a specific time frame. Generally, it's 12 to 18 months, and you know what? I've been considering taking the 18 months out. Business moves a lot quicker than it used to. So most missions are of a year nature. The chamber has a 2-year mission, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
You are correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So it depends on the organization. It has to be clear, involving, and it should be memorable. So ladies, do you remember what the mission of the chamber is that we're currently under?
No, that's terrible that we don't remember.
We
I
are,
don't remember.
we are the essential resource for the
No,
development.
that's the vision.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I had it mixed up. I apologize. Off the top of my head, I do not remember that one.
Okay. So, and I would guarantee if you guys have been in the office the last month, you would know it because you would have
Yeah.
seen it. But it is something that should be memorable to you. And if not, we haven't done a good enough job with it. It's aligned with the values directed at the vision. And more importantly, a great mission. The best missions of all are ones that can be accomplished. Not the ones you see on a wall. That our mission is to make people feel better. That's not a mission. Our mission is to build great hamburgers for the people of Central Delaware.
Could it, and I'm thinking is outside the box, like getting our members to be engaged with us. Is that?
It's a great thought, but it would have to be specific by increased attendance at events.
Yeah, I mean, we do focus on, percentage, overall percentage of engagement of our membership. So
Yes, I believe the mission is in there
96%
somehow.
engagement.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very specific.
Yeah. So yeah, I do remember it.
A typical mission would be, our mission is to involve our members at a great basis.
Yeah, I mean, we track it in a lot of different ways. I mean, as far as the engagement, we track it with a percentage, and then of course we do engagement tracking with events and
Yep.
The 5-star journey maps, things like that. So there's a couple different ways that we track that.
Absolutely. Now I want to talk about what's kind of off plan here, and that's what we're going through. Because part of creating a mission is doing a SWOT analysis. So for those that don't know what a SWOT analysis is, it's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Strengths and weaknesses are internal to the organization. So it's what you have or don't have. Opportunities and threats are external to the organization. That's where we have the biggest discrepancies now in missions. Because obviously, opportunities and threats have changed to our businesses depending upon the business. Lisa, working at a college, there is a lot of challenges in higher education. So I don't know what to tell you about. But I mean, that's one area. So what are the opportunities there? What are the threats to the organization? And these are things that have changed in the last 6 weeks for many. And we're going on information that we probably just don't even know to a large degree. But we have to take a stab at it. If we need to create a new mission based on where we are, we have to do our best with the information we're given. So this is the trickiest area of strategic planning right now. Any questions about this or comments?
I'll make a comment. We're working, or we just, we look at our mission, vision, and strategic directions every few years. I don't know if that'll change, but and be a shorter timeline, but we just finished the mission. And we were working on the vision currently, and we pushed it off because of everything going on, because we think there might be some major changes. I mean, we're moving into a digital world, and we do a lot of events like the chamber. We're not just focused on, we educate, that's our main focus, and students are first, but we've had to pivot these events, and I'm trying to do as much research as I can on the event gurus who are changing those things, because there's a lot of resources. But I think one of the things, Alan, it would be helpful, and I'll let you get through your presentation, but how do you sift through? It's almost overwhelming, the amount of communication that's going out in the meetings, and it's like, how do you make sense of it all, I guess?
Well, you make sense of it all. I'll kind of get to that at the end, but there has to be a cutoff point, and that's why you're going to see at the end, I always recommend having a facilitator there. And if it sounds like a commercial, so be it. A lot of strategic plans are done in-house and led by someone in-house, and I strongly recommend against that, because a lot of times the information gate will stay open, sometimes forever, as you seem to be going through right now. Also, in terms of looking at the mission vision, the vision, again, that should stay. If that should be done before anything else is done, and that proves why it should be done, because it gives you a destination. Without the destination, you have a lot more openness about what information you need to create a mission. I hope that answered it a little bit, Lisa.
Yes, that helped. Thank you.
I've done so many of these. I've seen the goods, bads, and uglies. So, we'll get to some of that. But this is the hardest area. If this is something you guys have accomplished without doing a vision, that would be creepy to me. If you know what you need to do short term without knowing what to do long term or where you want to go, and yes, may where you want to go change? That's very possible, with what's going on and what the future might hold for higher education. It's one of the ones that might be impacted the most, that and obviously the restaurant business.
Well, and I think, I feel like the most common thing that I've heard recently is, you can have your mission, your vision, you can have a plan, and so many people have, done a lot of, what if planning and things like that, but this is not one of those what ifs that we ever thought to plan for. So a lot of places are in a moment of panic because they didn't have a what if plan for something like this.
Agreed. And that's one of the reasons to do it in an orderly fashion. I think for the chamber, you guys have it so laid out that you can see what can be done and what can't be done a lot easier than people without a plan.
Yeah.
So it's people without a plan that are really panicking. They don't know what the hell to do. No, could a restaurant have foreseen that no one would be allowed to come into their establishment? That's something new.
Yeah.
But you've also seen restaurants that are doing fairly well right now. Not all of them are going out of business. So, with a plan, with a focus, those that are doing takeout and delivery, they're staying alive, while other ones are shuttered. So, all about creating a plan. And the last thing about a mission, it's got to be measurable. And Heather and Cindy were talking like that at the chamber. It is measurable. If your mission is not measurable, how do you know if you've ever achieved it or not? You don't. It's just like personal goal setting, which isn't the theme here, but it's similar. So let's get into the critical success factors here. These are the areas that need to be concentrated on. So we go from broad, the vision is broad, the mission is very measurable and succinct. Now we go back to broad. So there are 3 to 8 items that need to be looked at to make sure our mission is accomplished. Things like marketing, things like staffing. Those are the broad areas. So then we go to the broad areas. They're necessary and sufficient. So they're the necessary areas that need to be addressed if the mission is to be accomplished. It has to be the right ones. Then those are finally broken down into goals. And all of you should know this by now, the SMART criteria. Every goal needs to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistically high, and time-bound. Those are the basics for goals on a business standpoint. Personally, it's a little different. So here are the success factors that I have found over the years that make a great strategic plan. 1, it's making the time to do it. And Lisa, this might help answer your question too. I would say it's anywhere between 24 and 40 hours total time. And if it's taking you more than 40 hours, give me a call. So it's making the time and need to involve everyone. Not everyone needs to be involved in the vision, but by the time you get to the goals, people at the lowest levels should be involved in some way, shape, or form. I have a book called Fail Safe Leadership. There should be a copy at the chamber. If anyone wants a copy, we'll get it to them. It really describes this process. There has to be goal setting training. If the people in an organization don't know how to set and accomplish goals, it could make the entire plan fail. This is an area that is not done often enough. There'll be a great plan that's done, but if the people that are working to achieve the plan don't know how to set and achieve goals, they won't get there. This is critical. This has to be communicated so that everyone remembers it. And, I know we're in a different world, ladies from the chamber. I know we are. But when it's communicated properly, everyone knows what the vision, values, and mission are. So it's not too many items. And it needs to be followed up and redone. At the chamber, we do it every other year. I strongly recommend for most organizations that it's looked at annually. So it's literally spending one of the weeks of the year in reviewing last year's strategic plan and creating the new one. Because a lot of these things do not need to be redone year to year. A vision should stand the test of time. A vision done correctly might not need a modification for 10, 15, maybe even 20 years. Values rarely change unless a culture change is needed. It's the mission, critical success factors, and the goals that should change at the outside every other year. And that's what we do at the chamber. Most organizations should look at that annually. And here, again, sorry to sound like a commercial, but bring in a facilitator, someone that's outside the organization that knows how to lead people down the path of understanding what a strategic plan is and what really needs to be written and what needs to be decided. It is important. And that's all so that we can have plenty of time for questions and conversation. So thank you, of course. And questions, now I'm going to bring us all back. Does anyone need to look at anything in here? We have it recorded, and I don't mind sharing it with you. Can we stop that? Great. All right. All right. There we are. Questions, gang. Anything.
So I do have a question. So, I don't know who it was that was talking about events. I mean, that's a big thing right now with a lot of companies that, that's their income, or that's how they get their sponsorships. Do you have any suggestions on that or anything?
Specifically for the chamber?
Or anybody? I mean,
grin and bear it for a couple months. No. These Zoom things, that's one way to get people together. Is there any reason you couldn't have a mixer on Zoom?
We actually do have one tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow we're doing the virtual mixers, and we're doing it industry specific. You know, we've got 5 different categories so that we can have, you know, smaller, more intimate conversations with like-minded, you know, business professionals. So I can share that flyer with you, but yeah, that's tomorrow from 5 to 5:30.
Well, I'll certainly share it with the 3 o'clock group.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll
Because
tell you what,
just like a mixer.
so I don't know if you guys know Zoom enough to know that you can do one mixer and then put people in individual rooms.
Oh,
I don't know that, no.
no, that's good to know.
All right. And it can be set up like as a moderator, Heather, if you were the moderator, let's say Mike, Lisa, and I wanted to have a private conversation. You can put us in a private room, and then we can come back to the big group. And so you can really network on Zoom. It doesn't have to be 100 people all on the screen at the same time.
It's interesting.
All right. So you
Yeah.
can look, you guys have a full Zoom membership. I'm sure you could
Yeah.
be doing that. So, so
That's
what
good
other
to know.
events? I mean, some events obviously are going to have to be canceled, you know, things that have to be catered and things like that, you know, but what are some alternative ways of making money? You know?
I mean, our biggest focus right now is you know, staying engaged with our members and the communication, you know, just really being there for one another at the time. That's kind of our shift of focus. I mean, for those who are getting the emails, we are ridiculously busy, but it's been a different type of busy. You know, as the chamber, we're typically face to face with our members and events, and we're talking every mixer 150 people in one spot. So, you know, continuing to get the word out and being that resource and the connector for, you know, the loans and the grants and the recovery plans and the help is important. But we've really been focusing on just making sure that everybody's still connected, because you can't lose those connections. Because if you lose the connections now and you don't, you know, keep fostering these relationships that you have now, that makes when this is over a million times harder. So that's been our big focus.
I agree with you, Heather. And I think it's a great time to increase your network and your members. There's so many people that need help out there. You know, that's why I've committed to do a daily Zoom. You know, it started out where I was providing so much information, you know, to help people, but it's evolved into a little bit more than that. But people share things all the time. People share their experience with getting the loans, with the banks they're working with. You know, sometimes you guys have to represent entire areas where I can get very specific. You know, when someone says, who do I really need to speak to about this? You might have to recommend 4 or 5 different people when I can recommend one. You know, also, you know, Master Networks or BNI, those networking groups are holding Zoom meetings instead of their normal meetings. So people are maintaining their smaller, more intimate networking groups. The chamber's a big networking group. It's a big network.
I think that this is something that might benefit everyone. I've been thinking a lot about it because I grew up in many years before some of you on the call, and bartering. I mean, we think of like, oh, that's back in the 15th century or whatever, but you know, cash may be in short supply, but I have a service and you have a service or product. And when I was growing up, some of that was some interaction that I know our family business did, because people didn't have the money to get the service. So it was like, well, what can you kind of bring to the table? So we might need to rethink, you know, that. And everybody's so cash based and credit based, and, you know, it might be a bartering system almost. I mean, not to say we're going backwards, but that might be a good thing. So that's been on my mind too.
Lisa, I can't agree with you more. You know, as an entrepreneur who networks with a ton of entrepreneurs, and most of my clients are entrepreneurs, it's a way of life and has been, and now more so than ever. You know, some of my clients are doing really, really well. You know, I think there's a forgotten piece that's going on here. Some industries, some things are maintaining. You know, if you're Lowe's or Walmart, or, I have a son and daughter-in-law who work for Amazon, in management. These places are doing fabulously right now. It's most of the time it's the small businesses that are getting hurt.
Yeah. Like
But so my small businesses that I work with, they're not paying me. I'm still working with them. I'm not going to stop working with people just because I'm not getting paid. But it's so my revenue stream is just slower than it normally is. My clients are doing well, they're paying me. But I have done barter with a number of my clients, Lisa, and thanks for bringing that up because it's important. We all have something we can give.
I think the chamber could be key in that too, because you have such a diverse group that you may, you're doing great things like purchase the gift cards, but somebody might not have money. So maybe you could be almost that hub for the chambers. I see as one of the outlets. It could be that hub that brings together these different services and products, these businesses to interact with each other. So it may just be, I think we just got to relook at everything we do, but.
I agree. That, along those lines, that's why I think the more networks you can join in, I know Zoom is tiring, but I think it's time that, you Zoom yourself to death here. I mean, get involved with different groups, meet some new people, because those ideas like Lisa just brought up, it's strong. I've seen it. I've seen it on some of the Zoom calls I've been on. The ideas that have flowed from one person to another that didn't know each other 5 weeks ago is impressive. We just need to do more of it.
Well, I think with the Zooms too, that everybody's right there. So it's not like you're in a big room and like, okay, who am I going to talk to? Because some people can't do that.
Yes.
So I think the Zoom is a good way of networking.
I love it. Love it.
Well, I've even said over and over again that coming out of this, we're gonna be in a new norm. It's gonna be a new normal. A lot of things are gonna change. And I think that Zoom is something that we shouldn't just get rid of when this is over. I've thought of ways about how can we continue to incorporate this for those folks who, like Cindy said, who can't, they have trouble walking into a room and networking and building those relationships that way. So, I mean, moving forward, things are definitely going to change, but I agree, like with Lisa and everything, that we're going to have to look at, new ways of doing things.
Well, when you think about when we return, who knows what normal, it's going to be a new normal, but maybe the new normal, you can start thinking about some of this. There'll be more people working from home than before. There'll be less of the big events. I'm not saying they won't happen. There'll probably be less because some people will be freaked out for a long time. It might permanently alter sporting events and chamber mixers and things where you have large groups together in one room. There's probably going to be a lot fewer of them. Just one thought. Who knows? I'm not the guru that knows, but these are things that need to be thought of and planned for. What if the chamber only had 4 mixers a year, face to face? Maybe that's the new norm. We don't know. Just don't. So these are contingency plans that come up when you're looking at threats and opportunities. That brings you an opportunity. Let's say if that was the case, brings you an opportunity for more Zoom get-togethers. More sharing of information. I don't know. That's what I've seen. Again, I've seen a group of people from around the country get together and actually start doing business with each other, and it's blowing me away. I got people from Chicago, Colorado, Maine. Where else do we have? New Jersey, Pennsylvania, all on the same Zoom call, sharing what they're going through with other people.
Yeah, I feel like it's also even opened up some different avenues of, building relationships that you wouldn't typically get, like you were mentioning. I mean, it's not every day that I'm on a Zoom call with somebody from California.
Right.
So I think that's pretty neat too, because everywhere is different. Every person is different. Every organization and business is different. So hearing those different perspectives and how people are getting through this time and ideas. And there's just so much that's flowing right now. And it's incredible to me. And I don't think that we should ever lose sight of that.
No, I agree. But, there are people that are clammed up and afraid, and there's all we can do is offer them the opportunity to come out of their shell, because it's scary. Of course it's scary, but those that will, quote unquote, win will be the ones that reach out, that have more conversations. I'm an introvert by nature, but I'm going to converse myself until I'm, gone. At the end of every day, I'm done conversing. But it's important that we do it, not just for me. If you're a business person and, you're involved in an organization, we all need to figure it out somehow. And it's a whole lot easier figuring out together than alone. So, Cindy and Heather, I hope, you guys are picking up the phone and calling people, getting people out of their shell.
Yeah.
As best you can. I know.
Mm-hmm.
Some people remain there.
Yeah, and I've talked to a lot of people, and a lot of them seem to be doing good,
Yes.
It's, some aren't. I mean, you got your few, but I would say more are doing good than doing bad.
I would say out of 16 people that are on 3 o'clock call, I'm going to say that 3/4 of them to 80% of them are doing just fine. And it's random.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and so the people like that and who are doing fine, we need to be those people that are there for those who are struggling and, help them. Because I feel like the first and foremost for any recovery plan is mindset.
Well, of course, and that goes to personal development, and understanding how you think and how you behave and what changes you need to make to yourself to be in the right framework, right mind frame to do what you need to do. Agreed. So it's helping people with their mindset. I'll give you an example. So I think it was the second week, a friend of mine who owns a magazine, a motorcycle magazine. So you talk about an industry under pressure. Motorcycling has been going down. Magazines have been going down. But I know this guy. I've been on motorcycle rides with him all around, and just a really cool dude. And I've helped him when he beat cancer a few years ago. He's never been a client of mine, but he's a friend. And he called me, and he was so depressed. He had been drinking a lot. He'd been depressed. He didn't know what to do with what's going on. And I said, why don't you hop on a 3 o'clock call and meet some people, please? He goes, what Zoom? I had to talk to him what Zoom was. And so he's been on almost every day. He's met people that have given him suggestions on what to do. He's done business with some of them. They've reached out, and he's like a different person. But he reached out to me. And I'm glad he did, because it saved him from really going into that pity shell party. Might as well grab another drink. So now he's a lively contributor in helping other people with their situations. So the more we do that, again, I hate to sound like a preacher, but it's kind of what it is, preaching for the entrepreneurs of the world.
Yeah.
What else? What help do you guys need? Questions? God, making it so easy on me.
Mm-hmm.
Heck, my next Zoom call isn't until 1:30.
Got time to go get lunch.
Yeah, I know. So you guys go out for lunch, bring something in, or you guys just like cooking all the time and making your own stuff?
I've done a lot. I've learned that I'm not the best cook in the world, but I'm not a terrible cook.
See?
I've been supporting my local restaurants.
Well, which ones do you recommend?
Oh, well, so Brickworks is like 2 minutes from my house, so I frequent them a lot.
Okay.
Love it. I absolutely love it. And Wolfie's in Dover. I love their burgers.
I
So
do too.
Yep, they have $5 burgers. Delicious.
I've been eating at home.
Yeah, DoorDash and Mike, I got you, brother. Sorry we can't hear you.
He's got to turn his mic on. He's got his mic
Yeah,
on.
right now you're on. Oh.
But yeah, I mean, I think you guys should definitely jump into that mixer tomorrow night. Of course, we've got the flyer. It's got the different Zoom codes because we didn't know about the private rooms, but that's something new.
Mhm.
But we've got the Zoom codes for those. You can, select which industry, most suits you and your business, and jump in with us. It's from 5 to 5:30, so it's about a half hour. We're
Yep.
doing, so we've got large employer, small business, education, hospitality, and nonprofit. So those are the 5 different industry categories we've selected. So
Okay.
hop in there and tell everybody, because we're running it just like a regular mixer, so it's open to the public.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Got door prizes?
Well,
Just
Good
kidding.
question.
I didn't say that to be a wise ass, by the way.
that is a good question.
Yeah. Win a free Zoom call.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a funny thing. So, you guys know me well enough. If you need help, just give me a call. Give me a call. We'll do a Zoom call or a regular call, FaceTime. I don't care. Whatever you guys need I'm here to help. Wherever I can help.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for doing this, Alan. It's always a pleasure. We were very excited to have you do this.
Yes, thank you.
Again, we have recorded this session, so we will be posting this to our website and our YouTube channel.
Great.
So it can be shared. If you guys would like to share that with any of your, teammates or your colleagues or your friends or family, we've got this available afterwards. So thank you so much, Alan. It's really
You're
good
welcome.
to see your face again.
You.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Talk to y'all soon.
All right. Talk to you
Talk
guys
to y'all
later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.